Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Wednesday. It is the 12th day of April, 2023. I hope you're safe and healthy today and that your family is safe and healthy and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders, who every day are trying to save lives. Blessings also upon those that pick up garbage for us to keep streets and sidewalks and parks clean and disease-free. And those also that make deliveries of mail and food and water and important things that we often take for granted for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the teenagers and the children that are unfortunate victims of child molestation and pedophilia, the victims of prostitution and child prostitution, of pornography and child pornography, the victims of human trafficking and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators of these things. Double curses on the profiteers from these things. And double curses upon the perverts that create this industry. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. There are nearly 600,000 men, women, and children homeless in the United States of America. And millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them. For theirs is the kingdom. So, last night, there were interesting basketball games. There was the play-in games. So now the Atlanta Hawks and the Los Angeles Lakers are the 7 seeds in their respective conferences. What I noticed last night, though, about Atlanta is, if you recall, we talked about how you want to be playing your best basketball at the end of the season. Not only that, particularly, you'd like to be playing your best basketball in the playoffs. What I noticed in Atlanta last night, they did a 9-man rotation. Quinn Snyder did a 9-man rotation, and the bench has come alive. The bench for Atlanta, and I'm going to tell you why I'm mentioning this in a minute, but the bench for Atlanta, okay, the bench for the Atlanta Hawks consists of Sadiq Bey, Onyeka Okongwu, Bogdanovich, and, who am I missing? Sadiq Bey, Onyeka Okongwu, Bogdanovich, and, wait a minute, JAYLEN Johnson, that's what it was. JAYLEN Johnson. Sadiq Bey, Bogdanovich, JAYLEN Johnson, Onyeka Okongwu. These guys, you can see they have blossomed. They just, it's like, when guys are blossoming, when they're developing, it happens slowly. And most times, especially in New York, you don't see it because you're so micro-analyzing them. You can't see their development. But I'm not an Atlanta Hawks fan, and I seen those guys play earlier, and I seen them last night, and they have developed. And Onyeka Okongwu, another USC 5 that I thought was going to be the deal coming out of college the year that we got Obi. There's him, and then there's the kid in Cleveland, that we talk about. But JAYLEN Johnson was very talented coming out of Duke. And he had some issues. We don't know exactly what the issues were, but some say he was trying to get ready for the NBA draft and he wasn't as engaged, or I don't know what it was, but there was some issue with Duke and it caused his stock to drop because it was a possibility that maybe he had some bad interviews, but there was possibility that he was going to be some sort of problem off court, and attitude-wise. So his stock dropped. But talent-wise, JAYLEN Johnson was lottery talent when he came out of Duke. Sadiq Bey, we know, from Villanova. Really solid player. I was surprised Detroit traded him. Then Bogdanovich, an elite shooter. That he signs a free agent from the Kings. These guys were balling last night. They were balling. And what happened, they overwhelmed Miami. See, Miami was missing some shots. They were missing some shots. And they let Atlanta get in the lead. But then, of course, as you normally would happen, there was a run. The Miami Heat made a run and got it back to like 6 or 4 or something like that. Very close. Almost came all the way back. But then the bench came in for Atlanta. and they just overwhelmed Miami. They just was too good. I mean, these guys were too good. And they're blossoming. They weren't this good at the beginning of the season, but they've developed. Quinn Snyder was the right guy for this job. They've had some good coaches. Pierce, I love Nick McMillan, and Quinn Snyder. And Quinn Snyder, I call him the mad professor because his eyes are always bugged out, and you can see he always got this piece of hair flying. And he looked like a crazy dude. He's like a mad professor, but he's a really good coach. And he seems to have tapped into Trae Young. There was an argument on the sideline between Trae Young and the assistant coach. But Trae Young seems to really respect the head coach, which is most important. Yeah, so they won. And what I bring that up is because that's why I'm saying Tibbs is going to go 9 deep. And our bench is an overwhelming bunch. And bench is going to be very important in this playoffs for all teams. Whoever has the weakest bench is going to lose. Okay? And speaking of the Knicks, of course, I didn't come here to talk about the leprechaun in Atlanta and the mad professor, but I noticed that last night. And so Atlanta's playing Boston. I'm going to tell you, this is going to be an interesting series with the way Atlanta's bench is playing. Now, the starting five played well. I mean, you know, they all played well. But it's that bench that makes the difference. And last night, that bench against Miami, they scored 53 points. Anytime you get a bench to score 40 or more, you're doing really, that's a sign you did some work on the bench. And they scored 53 last night. They were dynamic. And the Knicks have the same style bench. So what am I saying? It's going to be an interesting series with them in Boston, which brings up today's subject. Yesterday, we talked about Dame Dollar is officially available. I mean, he spoke it himself in the press conference. And I talked about, and the reason I brought it up, and I wanted to bring it up, not because, and as I talk to you in the comments, you understand, I don't want Dame Dollar. I don't want him, okay, for multiple reasons. But, you know, lack of defense, end of the career, expensive contract, don't want to give up our assets for him, have a small backcourt with no defense, no. But I want y'all to be inoculated because you know Stephen A. Smith, all of these people, all these talking heads, and then the platforms that follow the talking and basically regurgitate what they're saying to act like they know what they're talking about. They're going to all be talking about this guy's going to be box office. They're going to have shows on it and debate it and blah, 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 blah. And they're going to have half a Knick Nation saying we should trade away the whole team and go get Dame Dollar and start with him and whoever. No. 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 And that's why I brought it up last night. Then there's Joel Embiid. If Philly lose, even in the second round, there's going to be some changes in Philadelphia. And then they are going to lose probably by the second round. So Joel Embiid may be available. Now, I talked yesterday, I don't want to trade Mitchell Robinson. He's a homegrown talent, second round pick, steal at this point, steal at the draft, steal at $60 million right now, steal. But I would trade him for Joel Embiid. I think you would have to, right? You're talking about an MVP candidate at the 5, right? But it doesn't feel right because a lot of things, injury history, attitude, I don't know what, I can't put my exact finger on it. But I wouldn't want to do it, but you'd have to do it, you know. So I'm not really looking forward to that. The trade I'd like to make, the move I'd like to make is JAYLEN Brown. That's the move I'd like to make. Because why? Because the assets we would give up to get a JAYLEN Brown are assets we probably need to give up so that JAYLEN Brown could fit. JAYLEN Brown would slot right in RJ's spot. Again, I'm not down in RJ. Some of y'all get all sensitive about trading RJ. I'm not like I want to trade RJ. I feel like he's 2 more seasons away. Okay? But JAYLEN Brown is ready now. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying RJ can't play. I'm saying you get JAYLEN Brown, you championship level. The window is open. He's 26 right now. Okay, he got 1 more year left on a contract that was $103 million. It was $106 million. His rookie extension. He's going to get paid $28.5 million next year, and then he's unrestricted For a guy in this level, like I would say Jaylen Brown, I could say is a top 25 player in the NBA, okay? He might even be higher than that, depending on who you ask, but he's definitely a top 25 player in the NBA. So you get a guy like that, and you add him to Mitchell Robinson, Quentin Grimes, Jalen Brunson, and Randall, or Obi. And then you have a mob deep bench. You got something, okay? You definitely got something at that point, okay? So what happens, this is what happens. Boston went to the finals last year. I wouldn't say it's a failure if they don't get to the finals this year. That wouldn't be fair or realistic. But they should get to the Eastern Conference Finals with that team. They should get to the Eastern Conference. If they lose in the ECF, okay. But they got to get to the ECF in order for this year to not be a failure. Them being #1 seed for a lot of the year, you know, going back and forth with Milwaukee. Definitely top 3 in the NBA record. You know, you got to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And you've been in the finals last year. You got to get to the Eastern Conference Finals this year. If they don't, Jaylen Brown ain't signing me. I'm going to tell you right now. If they do not get to the Eastern Conference Finals this season, Raw Hebrews telling you right now, Jaylen Brown is not going to sign another contract there. Then what happens? Well, he's got 1 more year and $28 million left on his deal. In these situations, just look at even recent history. This is how this works in the NBA. There's 2 routes Boston will go. They will either try to trade him this summer to try to retool their team so that they're ready to go in the fall, okay? Or they will wait till the All-Star break and see who offers them the most. Every team is going to do that. They're going to wait till the All-Star break, and every team's going to come with their best offer, and they're going to weigh the offers, and they're going to take... Never mind. Some people like to say what's fair. It don't matter what's fair. It's what are you willing to offer. That's the thing. And that's why I keep telling you on Knicks Nation. The Don ain't just giving away the store. And that's what I love about him. See, that's why I know when the Knicks got the Don and I saw the team he put together in the front office and on the head coaching staff, I knew this guy knew what he was doing. Okay. And then that first year when he was wheeling and dealing 2nd round picks, and I knew what he was doing. He know what he's doing. So he ain't giving away the store for Jaylen Brown. Okay. He knows the market, and he knows what the right price is for the Knicks. For Jaylen Brown, okay? And some of y'all act like your GMs don't know. He knows. He's in the seat, okay? You know what he's doing. And then, of course, we know that the owner trusts him implicitly, as he should. So Jaylen Brown, they can either wait till the All-Star break and see the best offer they could get, or they can trade him this summer. The difference would be their stomach for the drama that's going to come if they don't trade him this summer. If they can deal with the drama that's going to come, because every day in Boston, they see the 2 worst cities, media cities for people in basketball is Philly and New York. Followed closely by Chicago and Boston. And I would say Boston, then Chicago. Okay, I would say Boston, then Chicago. Because Chicago, their media is more like, they're more like closer, they get closer to the cheerleader thing than the other ones. The other ones, Philly and New York, will kill their team. Their media will kill their team. Boston's right below them. So you will be getting howls from the fans, from the media about Jaylen Brown every day, from training camp all the way through the All-Star break and the trade deadline. Okay, so do they want to deal with that? Maybe. I don't know. Okay, I would think they would not. And the reason I would think they would not is because they're so close. Okay, they got their team. Tatum, Kendrick Williams 3, you know, Robert Williams a 3rd. They got bench. They got the pieces. They got what they need. Okay, they got veteran. They got everything they need. So if they're going to lose a major piece, they'd like to try to retool and keep it going. RJ is perfect for them. He's not Jaylen Brown yet, but he's going to be. Okay, he's going to be good. He's going to be that good. I don't care what some of y'all say. 2 years from now, RJ is going to be that dude. He's not now. Okay, Boston also is a victim of RJ because he's dropped some of his biggest games against Boston. So RJ would fit perfectly there. Young player, on a fixed contract. They ain't got to worry about renegotiating with him. Got him locked in for 4 seasons. That fits perfect. Okay. And it's almost like you could do that straight up. You really could. Okay. But other teams are going to be bidding for JAYLEN Brown. So you got to have something to beat other teams. Now, the key thing also we have to remember is the fit with Brown. Brown has got 1 more season, so he's going to be unrestricted. So whoever trades for him has to get some sort of assurance that he's going to sign an extension. Maybe even they want him to sign it with the trade. You understand? So that is another key. So therefore, Brown holds the cards in terms of where he's being dealt. Some team might be desperate enough to say, we'll convince him to stay. But most teams in recent history, they don't want to do that. Okay, because there's no guarantee he'll stay. Toronto tried that with Kawhi, and he left. They won a chip, but then he left. Okay, couldn't convince him to stay. They tried their best. But because that's not where he wanted to go, but that offered the best deal for the Spurs. So with Brown, he's going to decide where he wants to go. I have not heard him say anything about any team. Okay. So I don't know if he wants New York or not. But I do know this. If the Knicks get past Cleveland, there's going to be a lot of players. This is the best offseason in terms of Knicks prospects, in terms of their look to star players that I can remember. I mean, I don't remember a situation where the Knicks were going to be so attractive. And I'm not talking about, the whole thing about it being New York, that's played out. Players can do what they want. You got dudes rich enough to have private jets, man. They're not worried about where your team is. They like playing at Madison Square Garden. The energy is like no other place, but that ain't going to be the deciding factor. No, but the Knicks are attractive now because of their front office, their coaching staff, and their team. Guys are going to be looking at this. See, because the Don keeps everything close to the vest. I'm going to show you how this plays out. The Don don't let nobody know nothing. The media start tripping because the Don don't let nothing out his office. In the inner sanctum, it's secret in it. Players like that. Players don't like when people run their mouth too much. They like when you keep it in-house. Like what happened just recently with Julius Randle and Emmanuel Quickley. They asked Julius about it after, and he said, we handled it in-house. You ain't hear nothing about it. Players like that. Okay? So that, with the acumen the management has shown, with the team that we now have, that, you know what, I'm watching Atlanta play against Miami, and if later was the Lakers against Minnesota, and I'm saying, what's the Knicks doing? They chilling because they have earned the 5th seed in the East. They have earned their 2nd playoff appearance in 3 years, in year 3. Players like that. Brown is an intelligent young man. I don't know what other teams he might be interested in, but I do know that he's smart enough to know if he can get to New York and be in that 3 spot right there, he can be the difference in the championship. He can be that dude. Okay? So, he fits. We would give up RJ. I wouldn't want to give up Obi with RJ. Now, they may ask. They're going to ask for everything. Okay? I don't want to give up Obi for RJ because, see, Obi would be in the same situation. He'd be playing behind RJ and Tatum. See? So I don't really want to do that. Again, we come back to Quickly. Quickly, they're going to ask for Quickly also. Why? Because Quickly next to Marcus Smart. See, right now in Boston, right, right now, let's look at the Celtics. They got a nice team. They ain't no front. They got a nice squad, man. But right now, the two guard, they start Derek Wright, and he's good. He's really good. Okay, he's really good. But I gotta say, IQ's better. Okay, can you imagine? You get Derek White off your bench. You get Emmanuel Quickly next to Marcus Smart. Now you have Marcus Smart, Emmanuel Quickly, R.J. Barrett, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, or Robert Williams III. You back. See, you back. You back now. Okay? So that to me, if you do that, and I wouldn't think a lot of draft capital would be necessary. 2 number ones, maybe. And I'm not even saying they should be unprotected. I'm saying 2 number 1. You getting R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly. Enough said. So that is more than fair. That's really good for Boston. I can't think of another team that can offer them that level of talent and at that age coming back. That's what I'm saying. There's teams that got draft capital and money. Memphis, like I said, San Antonio. But Brooklyn, but I can't think of a team that has that level of young talent that they can offer with the draft capital. I think the Knicks are in a strong position. I'm just saying. I think this summer they're in strong. The only thing I don't know is what is Jaylen Brown's druthers. What does he want? I don't know what he wants. I don't know what his druthers are. Okay. Like I said, there's a number of teams. Cleveland, Brooklyn, Toronto, Chicago. Chicago might want to offer Levine for him. I wouldn't take it, but I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. Everybody's going to be in on this. Denver, Memphis. There's a lot of teams, that's going to be down to do this. Phoenix. But nobody can offer the young talent that the Knicks can. Young paid for talent. Like, in other words, RJ's on his deal. You got to do a deal with Emmanuel Quickly. Okay, you got to do that. But I'm thinking that's well worth it. See, Brogdon is their 6th man. Brogdon's good now. Trade him. Because you're going to have Derek White in that position. Okay? And you have Emmanuel Quickly starting. So what am I saying? R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, 2 number 1s for Jaylen Brown. That's all I'm saying. Okay? The money will work. You're going to give Quick, I don't know, you give him 4 years, $80 million. Something like that. So now you have $44 million between him and RJ. You sign Browns. Brown's going to get 30, 40, a year. You're going to get that. You're going to get over 100, no doubt. Okay? So that works. Draft capital is the kicker. I don't know no other team that could beat that. Y'all know, let me know. But I don't know no other team that can do that. Now, and if you're the Knicks, you have the 5 I mentioned. You have Obi Toppin. You have Isaiah Hartenstein, Deuce McBride, and Joshua Hart. That's what you got. Tough bench. Tough bench. Okay? And an even tougher starting unit. Now, yes, we don't have to bring up trading Randall. I understand a lot of y'all want to trade Randall. But let's be real. That ain't happening. But what is happening is Jaylen Brown's probably going to get traded this summer, especially if they don't get to the ECF. He's going to get traded. That's why I say, watch this Atlanta-Boston series. Y'all have a good Wednesday. So.